Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Venus at 29 degrees in astrology. And of course, 29 degrees in astrology, it's otherwise known as the anaretic degree, the 29th degree. Now, Venus at 29 degrees, well, this person may not be able to get enough of relationships, everything but it could indicate somebody that might have everything but a compulsive need for connections, for relationships. There may be an overwhelming need for sensual sex, and it could be very strong overindulgence in sensuality. And also, this could be somebody that could have a very exorbitant sexual appetite as far as expressing the feminine side of sexuality goes. Now, and there also could be a very excessive and exorbitant need for making money, and the person may simply not be able to get enough money. What's interesting, I wasn't exactly flabbergasted or in a state of shock on this, but that Ponzi scheme man, the scheme guy, I call him Ponzi scheme guy, Bernie Madoff, he has his Venus 29 degrees Taurus in a fixed grand cross. Imagine that. I mean, you talk about somebody that was very avaricious and greedy and could simply not get enough money. Not only did he have Venus at 29 degrees, it also was in its dignity in Taurus. Now, when you have, planets like in their dignity, that could be generally auspicious, but the thing about it is sometimes people will use that energy toward nefarious means. It maybe somehow played a role in making it easy for him to acquire money and be able to and sadly, this was something where he scammed so many people out of so much money, and it just made that energy, it was easy for him to use, but ultimately he did succumb to he did have a downfall, of course. So it's funny, as the 29th degree in Venus can really can be somebody that might have a propensity for making money, but I think a lot of times they may lose it just as quickly, because I think there could be very strong vacillation and distortion of energy connected with this, because what happens is they expend all this energy making all this money, and then for whatever reason, maybe it's because they had, in some cases, may have more than what to do with it, or what have you, or wind up, they have so much, they wind up spending it. They just can't seem to maybe spend enough as well in some cases. The Bernie Madoff thing, that was due to him really doing something nefarious, and now he's in a situation, of course, where he doesn't really doesn't really have a whole lot of overabundance of money. So it's funny how that worked out for him. Anyway, getting back to 29 degrees Venus in a chart. Now, a lot of it can depend on the sign that is in. Now, let's say somebody has Venus at 29 degrees in Leo. Well, that could be somebody that might that could have very good financial acumen, but the thing about it is it could be somebody in 29 degrees Venus, I see this as somebody that could be in constant crisis mode monetarily. If you have Venus at 29 degrees Leo, for example, it could be somebody that may have that ability to generate a good amount of income through something perhaps Leo related, but at the same time, due to extravagance, that money may dissipate just as quickly. Now, also too, Venus at 29 degrees, and let's say if it's in Pisces, it could indicate there may be something where the money can dissipate due to lethargy and indolence. Perhaps the person may be able to make an exorbitant amount of money through something Pisces related, such as the metaphysical, which can include astrology, but may lose it just as quickly as well. Now, also 29 degrees of Venus in astrology, I say this could indicate issues with relationships that may need to be reconciled. There may also be a very prodigious need for peace and tranquility, and perhaps an overwhelming need for love and romance. The person may simply not get enough of that. This could, in some cases, be really distorted indolence in some cases, and person could succumb to very strong, I call it lazy-itis, become very lackadaisical. Now, the thing about this is somebody that has Venus at 29 degrees in their chart may have an overwhelming need for relationships and may not be able to get enough of them. But this is paradoxical, I think, because I think what happens is Venus at 29 degrees may have that strong need for relationships. There might be periods where the person may be inundated, with connections. And the thing about it is, sometimes I think when people just get so tired, this person might become so tired of so many connections, being around so many people, having so many relationships, that what happens is the person may need a timeout and may go through protracted periods without anybody in their life, and might even go through reclusive periods. So anyway, now the thing about this too is I think what happens, another thing about this Venus at 29 degrees in a natal chart. Now conversely, if a person that has this placement may go through prolonged periods without any company, without really relationships, then because of all that time without it, the person might do the opposite and all of a sudden can't get enough connections and be, Mr. or Mr. Sociability or what have you. So anyway, now also Venus at the 29th degree in a natal chart can indicate health issues with the neck, the throat, the vocal cords. If it's in Leo, maybe the person simply has difficulty swallowing their pride. Only joking, of course. Now, it could also be an overwhelming need. This person may have to do things collaboratively with others. Now, a prominent family member of mine has her Venus near the 29th degree in Libra in the 4th house. Now, I could remember that there was a time where she was excessively asking family members for monetary assistance. And I think, and perhaps this was attributed to not being able to balance the budget, so to speak, given this is in Libra in her chart. Now, the square, she also had a square to Saturn and her ascendant. Of course, that probably didn't help matters. Now, I see the 29th degree in astrology is like this, the inveterate procrastinator degree. That's what I call it. Now, the person, someone that has Venus at 29 degrees, will maybe notoriously late for meeting up with people, things that are associated with relationships. It could be paying bills, things that are of anything of a monetary nature. It could be even in expressing matters of the heart. Now, the fact is, this person, because it's this 29th degree, that last degree in astrology, I do again see this very strong degree of procrastination. And the thing about this is, I mean, this could, because you're talking about Venus, and Venus can be connected with things of a monetary nature, this could lead to an accumulation of bills, and somebody that just winds up having to, really having to pay a lot of bills very late, which of course there could be repercussions and penalties for that, obviously. Now, the thing about this is, now the sign again, talking about the sign can impact the delineation. And let's take another example. Let's say that somebody has Venus in Sagittarius at 29 degrees. Now, there could be a very strong, overwhelming need perhaps to make money through gambling or something else Sagittarius related, such as sports. And the person may have a propensity to generate a lot of money through one of these things, something Sagittarius related. However, there could be a tendency to lose a lot as well. And now if this person, say somebody has Venus in Sagittarius at 29 degrees, if they're like this if they're a frequent gambler, you can understand why maybe you could have, this could be somebody that can make money very easily and have good financial acumen, but could also have the tendency to lose it. Again, the Venus at 29 degrees, I think it could be the best and worst of both worlds in terms of things monetarily. Now, Venus, again, let's say Venus at Leo at 29 degrees, in some cases may be able to accumulate a lot of money through something Leo-like, such as something with the creative field, working with children, entertaining, sports, or cardiology work. However, due to extravagance, they might find their income being depleted as quickly as they make it. Now, it's it's interesting. I've talked before about, hold on a second, people. Sorry about that, but anyway, I talked before about how celebrities can consciously or even subconsciously be connected to things that are associated with their astrological energies and can be drawn to those things. Now, whether it's on a subconscious or conscious level. Now, I think in this case, there's no Mary McGregor, who sang Torn Between Two Lovers, is not an exception to it. It's certainly not an exception to it. She has in her chart Venus at 29 degrees Gemini. And the thing about this is, I mean, Venus, of course, could be associated with music. Gemini is the sign of the twins. Gemini could be about duality in twos. I call them twosies. She sang a song which really became, I believe, an iconic hit, Torn Between Two Lovers. Now, she didn't write the song, best of my knowledge, but the fact is she was still drawn to it. And this came out through music and singing a song about being torn between two lovers. Venus in Gemini by itself can indicate somebody that may at times be in love with more than one person simultaneously. Now, I don't know if that ever happened to her in real life. It wouldn't shock me if it would, but she was still drawn to a song associated with that energy. And I thought that was interesting. Again, Venus being connected with the arts, and that can include music, and then Gemini being associated with 2 and 29 degrees. Of course, you have that full, what I see is that full culmination of energy of that. So it's not surprising that she gained fame and notoriety in connection with this song. Now, another thing is, now, the house that this falls in, of course, Venus at 29 degrees, can impact the delineation and interpretation as well. Let's take somebody that has Venus in Cancer at 29 degrees in their 12th house in their natal chart. Now, this could be a person that may put an overabundance of enjoyment into nostalgic footage or filmography, because Cancer can be connected with the past, things that are nostalgic, and of course the 12th house can be associated with filmography. And it could be a very strong, and as I stated before, an overabundance of this enjoyment into that. So anyway, now the aspects that Venus at 29 degrees make in a natal chart to points in their natal chart can impact the delineation as well. Now, let's say if it makes predominantly good aspects to points in one's natal chart, this powerful Venus energy may be expressed more positively and may be very fortuitous for finances, things of enjoyment, the arts, perhaps love relationships. And also, now let's say, however, if it makes mainly adverse aspects to points in one's natal chart, it could be somebody that might be more crisis-ridden monetarily and in relationships perhaps as well. It could be somebody that goes through perpetual crisis mode in their relationships, and it could be somebody that could be excessively and exceptionally overindulgent in whether it's food or drink or in sensual matters or just simply in relaxation, and might succumb to very strong lethargy and inertia. Now, also could be somebody that winds up having a very strong propensity towards strong dependency on others. Now, let's take some specific examples of aspects to Venus at 29 degrees. Now, let's say, for example, somebody has Venus the 29th degree in their chart making a sextile or trine to their natal Jupiter. Well, this could be very fortuitous for perhaps for generating money and income, and really could somebody that could have very good, powerful financial acumen. As I stated, it could be very lucky and fortunate for making money. Now, let's say it makes an adverse aspect to Pluto in one's natal chart. Well, this could indicate perhaps a very strong desire for making money, and could be, but at the same time, it may be in desire for making money, and maybe it could show tremendous financial acumen, given that it's at the 29th degree, but manipulation may be used more in order to attain this. Now, let's say in predictive astrology, well, this could signify whether it be through a transit or by progression. It could signify the end of a relationship, a monetary situation. It could be something that you may have valued. It could also be the ending or completion of something that you may have loved or enjoyed. Now, let's say you had, let's say that Venus, transit Venus was at 29 degrees Aquarius in your 5th house. This could be an end, could signify an end perhaps to something Aquarius-like that was enjoyed. I mean, such as something with remote control objects, astrology, model rockets, something that that could be Aquarius related, and being in the 5th, it could be tied into maybe a hobby that you may have had. So Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Venus at 29 degrees in astrology. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about Mars at 29 degrees in astrology. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.